Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we have the best of the best. The man over here in the box, Mr. Bruce Buffer, the immortal, the electrifying man over here on the mic. It's time for another appearance from Bruce. Bruce, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. And you? Thanks for having me on again. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming back on. We had you on 2 years ago, and I did not want to harass you anymore because, listen, you're a busy man, right? You're running around doing things, but it's time to have you back.
I'm back. It's time again.
All right. So, Bruce, this is what I want to do. The last time I spoke to you, we got into your backstory and the whole deal, and I'm sure you're sick of talking about all that stuff in the past. Let's talk about the present. I want to talk about the two big events that came up recently. I want to see through your eyes. I want to hear your point of view with the UFC London card and the UFC 277 card. Now, we had Jordan Levitt on the show, and he spoke about UFC London. He gave us a step-by-step, play-by-play from off the plane into the cage, and what an experience he had. It wasn't a good experience. So I want to ask you, Bruce, you're coming in on a different way here. You're the face of the UFC. You're coming in. What was your experience like walking into the cage and getting off the plane, UFC London?
It's great. I mean, for me, as the job that I do as the Octagon announcer, first off, the London fans, they go crazy. I mean, they love fights, they love boxing, they love MMA, they love everything. And then the courtesy from the English fans, coming in. For me, I landed on early Thursday or late Thursday evening, and then I had to meet on Friday. I did not go to the weigh-ins because I had meetings with my partners in England who happened to make my new toiletry line, cologne, and my amazing It's Time energy drink that's coming out here before the end of the year. So I had to do business. And then I got into the Octagon on show night, and I have nothing but good things to say. I mean, honestly, the worst thing of the evening, aside from the great fans that were there, which was fantastic, the fighters all wanting to fight, Paddy and Molly McCann, obviously electrifying the audience. But it was just so horrific what happened to Tom Aspinall, in the end. Being in the Octagon, I've seen every injury you can imagine. Thank God I've never seen a death. We've never had a death in the UFC. There's been less than 5 in MMA over the last, 30 years or whatever, since 93 when the sport was created. But to see Tom there in agony, screaming, such a tough man himself. And when you realize the fact that, you spent 8 weeks or however much he spent getting to this point of walking the Octagon in front of his home country fans, and then in 15 seconds, it's over. I just felt so bad. I mean, I get tears in my eyes sometimes, when I see people lose, or bet the world of them, the world of their family, and to see Tom in there in agony, knowing that he has maybe a year before he can even come back. It's just all that goes through my head. So I really feel for these fighters. Outside of that horrific moment, I thought I was happy. It was kind of an off night, kind of a weird night in certain ways, but at the same time, we're back in London. The fans loved it, and we put on the show.
That crowd was really buzzing, and you bring up the injury, and it's wild how many main events here we have these injuries, these crazy freak things happening where it just comes to an end. What goes through your mind? Like, you see this happen, and of course you're feeling for the fighter, but are you like, oh boy, I got to get on the mic and talk about this? Like, is there crazy nerves, or you're just like, it is what it is?
I never get nervous. I've been around fighting my whole life. I've been in plenty of fights, myself, 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 or 1-on-3, when as a kid or whatever the case might be. And of course, my career in the Octagon is spanning over 26 years. I've seen so much. I never get nervous. I just deal with the situation. I kind of like to call myself, the sheriff of the Octagon, trying to keep everybody in order, at times. And, things happen. You got to stay cool. You got to be a cool cat. You got to deal with what's going on. You can't panic. You got to deal with it, and it's just, that's all I can tell you. Try to give as much compassion, as much help, and as much support as I can to these great female and male warriors.
Yeah, I always wondered, like, you have been doing this for so long and you're just getting better and better. I'm going to show you a comparison in a second. But do you ever go into work and say, I mean, it's such a big thing, but you've been there, done that so many times. You ever go in and look at your watch and be like, okay, is it time to clock out yet? Does that ever cross your mind?
I can't say that, in a time where I've been doing, I just came back from Singapore. And then I had to go to New York, and then I went to London, and then I came back and had to go to Dallas. This has been a hellacious month of travel. If you ask me what the hardest thing about my job is, And people will laugh at this because they would love to have it, and I love that. I love that I do have the job. But I've been around the world like 50 times, right? If you ask me what the toughest part of my job is, it's the travel. You know, it beats you up, especially when you're doing 2 international shows and then 2, domestic shows across the country, whatever the case might be. But no, I never phone it in. Every night I treat as my very first night. I feel like every night I walk out in that octagon, just like last week in Dallas, I have to prove to, and I think I mentioned this to you before, I have to prove to myself, the powers that be, the fans, the fighters, my mom, that I deserve this job, right? So my passion gets me through that. If I get to the point where I'm phoning it in, it's like, oh, is the night going to be over? Then I shouldn't even be doing what I'm doing. I'm a fan first, and I'm there to perform. I call myself a performer, not as well as an announcer. And it's my job to create that excitement and take the fans and the fighters to the next level. If I start phoning it in, I won't be able to do that. I don't think anybody puts the passion into their work that I do. And if they do, God bless them, because really that's the best thing. If you can be passionate about what you do in life, it's not going to work. You're living a lifestyle. So I'm just living my life, bro.
When you posted that video of your earlier, and I'm going to put it up right here, you posted the early days of Bruce. It's so wild. So is it surreal watching these old clips and how you transformed from then to how you are now? Is it wild, like, looking at that?
Well, no, because I remember back then. It's wild in certain respects of the fact that, I started out at a point, and there's an evolutionary process in everybody's career, including yourself. Think about it. What were you like on the mic? How were you in interviews? How was I on the mic when I did my podcast for the first time 16 so years ago? And, it's an evolutionary process. So I look at that, and of course, I kind of giggle and have a fun time, wish I still had the black hair, but outside of that, it's all just an improvement. You work on your tool, you master your craft, and every time you go out there, even now after 26 years, again, it's always like my first night. I'm always willing to improve. I'm always willing to be very highly critical of myself. And the best way to do this is to watch yourself on video, which is sometimes very painful. But that was baby Bruce. That was back when I started. Had to start somewhere.
Exactly. We only been doing this for like 6 years. In August, we've been doing this, and just going back 6 years and seeing how dopey I was back then. I'm still dopey, but I cringe. I cringe when I see that. And here you are many years later, and I watched that video. I'm like, you're still better than a lot of the people out here now. So you still cringe when you go back and watch that stuff?
No, I don't cringe. I get a laugh out of it. I mean, I might want to go like this. It's not exactly the way I want to announce, but outside of that, no. You got to look at life realistically. You got to look in the mirror and be realistic towards yourself. And if you're not realistic and honest with yourself, then you're just lying to yourself. It's the old story. You got to be happy and love yourself within before you can give love to anybody else around you. So I'm always looking to improve. I'm always open to a new idea. I'm not stubborn. I'm 65 now. I've been around the block 18,000 times. How old are you?
I'm 45.
The only difference between you and me is 20 years of life experience, my friend.
I feel ancient right now, and you are running around. You got veins popping out of your arms. You're exercising. I mean, how do you feel so youthful? It's just exercise and just loving life.
Love yourself. We all have times we don't. What I mean by love yourself, I don't mean conceitedly. I mean constructively, and then give basically, like I say in my podcast, treat everybody with respect. Be a role model to your sphere of influence, but above all, be a role model to yourself. I'm always about being the best person I can be. And when you're at peace with yourself, like my girlfriend is a yogi, okay, and a healer. And I thank God that I have her in my life, because she'll probably add 10 years to my life, because I'm a very excitable person, okay, but I'm a very cool cat. I handle everything smoothly. But stress is the number one killer in life, and I try to avoid stress all I can, which is unavoidable with everything I have to deal with, business and personal wise, in my life. We all have personal lives. But it's just about, being at peace with yourself and enjoying your life. Enjoy what you do. Wake up to achieve the best day possible. That's where its time came from. I shave in the morning, and it's like, it's time to have the best day I can. I know that sounds kind of hokey or whatever, but that's the way I've been my whole life.
And you bring up your girlfriend. The last time you were on the show, you were kind of slipping around this. It sounded like you were, playing around. How long have you been with your girlfriend?
We've been seeing each other now for a number of months, and it's very special. And she's an amazing, amazing person. And I'm just keeping it private right now. I don't want to mention anything. I'm just I have somebody very special in my life, and I'm enjoying them very, very much.
I want to talk about this little wine that you do. I was watching the evolution of Bruce Buffer, and now when you're getting ready to get going, I'm going to play this really quick. This clip is on your Instagram. It's at Bruce Buffer. Go give him a follow. So that little windmill move that you do over there, I don't know how this has slipped past me. When did you bring the windmill in?
Chris, I don't know. I honestly, I probably forgotten more than I can remember, but one thing I'll tell you, and if I told you this last time, pardon me, but I never rehearse, okay? I go out into that octagon, I feel the energy of the crowd that's in the arena, and I feed off that energy. I never know what I'm going to do till I do it. Of course, I have, my standard form of announcing. I got my 180 I do for every, main event or championship fight. And of course the 90, the turning to the people, but I never know what I'm going to do till I do it. That just kind of started, and it just became something. And when I started into this time, I can't help but get into that mode. It's like, am I going to jump or not jump? Am I going to do whatever? Chris, I don't know till I'm going to do it. That's all I can tell you.
Last night we did a stream, and then after the stream, I'm doing a little research on what you got going on your Instagram, and I'm watching the windmill. And maybe I have OCD or something, but I noticed there's like a certain amount of times for certain events. The bigger the event, more swings around with the arm over here. Have you noticed this, or is it, like you said, you're just winging it?
I'm just winging it. Again, it's like when I say wing it too, remember my wing is moving, right? So if I'm going, and now, I'm doing that. Like if I hold that longer than usual, you're going to see a few more wing turns, right? Because it's like I'm winding up. Mm-hmm. It's like a wind up to it's time.
That's pretty interesting. I want to rattle off a couple of quickies over here with some of the fights that happened while you were in the cage screaming and yelling. Paddy Pimblett fought Jordan Levitt. Jordan was, I tell you what, it was a weird, crazy experience, but Paddy Pimblett, talk about megastar here. People making comparisons to Conor McGregor, this and that. I feel like this is a whole different thing. I feel like it's a whole different animal with Paddy Pimblett. What's Paddy through your eyes? Explain Paddy to me.
Paddy is one of those fighters that comes along like Conor, like Ronda Rousey, like others I can mention. They come along every, 2 years, 3 years that have what we call the it factor, okay? Paddy's got the it factor, and he can fight, right? And can he handle the top 5 contenders? That remains to be seen. All right, but the before talk, the after talk, the congeniality he puts forward, the fan favoritism that he creates. He's so darn likable. He's funny. He doesn't try. He doesn't try to too hard as other fighters. God love them all, but try sometimes too hard to be like Conor, to be like Chael Sonnen, to do that. I can sell a fight if I was fighting without cursing one time, and I guarantee you I could sell that fight big time, okay? It's all in the way that you approach it. Paddy's got his way. They say, of course, they're going to compare him to Conor McGregor because he's coming from the UK, and Ireland up there beside it. He's in that region, so they can't help but compare him to Conor. And, of course, everybody hopes he is the next Conor in respect to the eyeballs he's going to bring to the UFC. But Paddy stands on his own. He's an individual. Conor stands on his own. He's an individual. And Paddy's got something that other fighters don't have or have pieces of, and he's a full package. So I'm very excited to see the evolutionary process of his career and where it takes him, right? Go. And the combination of him and Molly McCann is a great marketing tool. I'd have them on the same card every time they fight because they bring so much to the event. They're such a pair. And I wouldn't doubt that the UFC is not going to do exactly that. Considering hopefully they don't get injured and such. He's an individual. But again, it factor. Okay? Yeah. It factor. Remember, there's only so many fighters that people talk about the next day. There's only so many commentators that people talk about the next day. There's only a handful, if not 1 or 2 announcers that people talk about the next day. And so many actors that talk about the next day. So many podcast hosts they talk about. You see what I'm saying? It's an it factor. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is it's the full circle. How do you handle yourself in the octagon? How do you handle yourself out of the octagon? How do you handle yourself on interviews, right? Are you consistent with who you are and the role and the image that you project, right? Because life is about consistency. And so far, Paddy's been very consistent. And I hope he continues. I hope and really hope that he continues to do so because he's so darn entertaining and he's great for the UFC brand. This man's already signed $1 million contract, and he's not even a champion.
Yeah, it's wild.
I
Huh?
don't mean with the UFC, with one of his sponsors.
Was that Barstool you're talking about?
I think Barstool. If I'm not mistaken, I read where he got a 7-figure deal with Barstool, and the head of Barstool was there in the arena in London that night. So good for Paddy, man. I love seeing these fighters make money.
Hey, speaking of Barstool, did you see the Jeff Portnoy sex video?
No. I'm
You're
not.
you're missing out, Bruce.
What's the deal?
You got to check it out, man. That's something else. It's wild stuff, man. He really knows how to have a good time in the bedroom.
Good for him. I hope everybody knows how to have a good time in the bedroom. Come on, we all need it. We need water. Everybody needs water, sex, and food. Okay, it's all good.
Have you ever been worried about like down the road, like from the past, someone had a camera on or something like that, something leaking with you?
No, my closet's clean. I don't know where there'd be an issue.
There you go. Look at you.
I'm not exactly out to. I don't like videos of. I don't like videos like that because you never know where they're going to go.
Sure.
I mean, trust me. I've had fans send me videos, request videos. I've had girlfriends of the past request video. Don't put anything out there that can back and bite you in the ass.
I hear you. And there was a lot of ass biting in Jeff Portnoy's video. Anyway, let's move on, Bruce.
I'm still not going to watch it. I'll take your word for it.
We'll just send it to you. No big deal. You don't have to watch.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Chris Curtis, he's another friend of our show, and he had a little bit of a meltdown in the co-main event, flipping the bird, the Jack Hermanson, a little bit of a lackluster fight. We're biased because we're Chris. We're Team Chris, but at the same time, there was a lot of apologies afterwards. What was your thought when in real time when it happened? You're like, oh boy, what's this?
Stay cool, baby. Stay cool. Chris is a good man. He's a hell of a fighter. When I say good man, from what I know of him, little bit of a meltdown there. As his handler or trainer, I would have I would have calmed down. I would have taken him out to dinner. I would have had a good conversation with him how that should never happen again. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because when you do things like that, what happens is you got to remember. I once said this to Francis Ngannou on my It's Time podcast when he's getting the offers to do this and do that and maybe leave. I said, don't ever leave the UFC. You never leave the NFL to play in the CFL. With all respect to all the other leagues, because the UFC will keep you relevant internationally. And what I meant by that is that they give you so much publicity that's where the sponsors come in, and that's where you get the big money from sponsors. But if sponsors see you do things like what Conor's done off color in his career. It probably cost him some sponsorships, no matter how much money he has in the bank. Fighters should be thinking about their image, about the sponsorships, how they handle themselves, because you should always handle yourself with class. Sure, you got to deal with situations, but I don't want to see birds. I don't want to hear the F-bombs. I don't want to see, this. That's me personally. Mm-hmm. Like I said, handle yourself with class, and you'll have a much wider range of potential sponsors to deal with to bring you more income into your life to take care of yourself, your family, and your loved ones. I think about the big picture, Chris.
Sure.
Okay, I'm not one-dimensional. I'm a brander and a marketer, and I built a number of different companies. And I'm building multi-million-dollar brands, $100 million brands right now with my Bourbon Puncher's Chance. And then all my products coming out. Sorry, I had to give a little plug there.
I got your poster on our wall. I don't know if you see it over on the side.
Oh yeah, I see. Oh, thank you very much.
Listen, we got you covered. Yeah.
When you're thinking about your career, it's not just about how you fight and everything else. It's how you handle yourself, right? If you go out in the public on your off night and you do something stupid, it could affect you. It could affect your income. It could affect your image. It could affect your job. You could get fired. Handle yourself with class.
There you go.
Right? Okay, Chris, he had a hiccup. He apologized for it afterwards. He's very cool. I wish him the best. Can't wait to see him get back in the octagon to redeem himself with a win, however it works out for him. But Jack Hermanson fought the way he fought. I mean, you really want to get upset with him?
Yeah, he had a great game plan, that's for sure. And I understand why.
Yeah, the game plan. Adapt to the game plan.
Yeah,
adapt to the game. Get him in the corner. Cut him off. Take him down. Mm-hmm. Right.
I thought maybe throw a lasso at him, try to rein him in. No weapons. No.
I think that's that other MMA event they're having in Texas somewhere. So
I just saw something pop up about they have hockey fights, a league with hockey fights. I mean, pillow fights, the whole deal. It's getting crazy, right?
Let me tell you something. 20 years ago, and I actually thought this was going to be a very cool thing. I was asked to announce a pay-per-view and be part of a pay-per-view, and where they took all the enforcers from hockey, all the guys that are retired, and they put them on the ice, and they faced each other off with a referee, and they fought, and I was going to announce the fights. I thought that would have been one heck of a pay-per-view. I still do, if it would be allowed.
I would watch that, yeah.
I'd be a little brutal. I mean, definitely put some gloves on him, but just you get some of the great, the great enforcers from the past, and I mean, who wouldn't want to watch it if you're a hockey fan?
Oh my God!
So everybody's trying to reach. Everybody's trying to go to the next level. They, once they had arm wrestling, where you were able to kick the guy while you're arm wrestling him and punch him, right? I think it was Art Davie, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that originally started the UFC that actually tried that and had like one pay-per-view. I could be off, but my memory is coming back to that. Everybody's looking for the new level.
Sure. Yeah. Everyone's trying to get the edge, the angle. I hear it. You weren't in the at the ceremonial weigh-ins for UFC 277, correct? Were you there for that?
No, I was doing appearances in Dallas for Puncher's Chance Bourbon.
Okay, so you're running around promoting your stuff, and as you were doing that, I don't know if you heard this, but Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena were about to square off and hit the scale. And Joe Rogan, who is the best of the best, catches a little criticism. But this was a really funny moment. I'm not sure if you heard this. I'm going to play this right now for you.
Now, let's take a closer look at the two men involved in the main event of the evening.
Joe Rogan said the two men involved in the main event of the evening. A little slip. I mean, what do you think, Bruce?
It's just a little brain fart. Joe wasn't trying to be funny. That's not funny, actually, if he meant it for real. But no, it's just a slip. Listen, at Dallas, I'm the first one to admit I made two mistakes I never make. I said the wrong referee name twice. Right?
Did you?
On my card. It slipped by. I'll accept every. I mean, if I did it, I accept my faux pas. That's probably just a little mistake on Joe's part. Joe loves this sport. Joe loves the fighters. And Joe gets very excited, when he's talking, and he gets very excited at the weigh-ins. I just look at it as a little slip.
Yeah, and Joe can get away with anything at this stage of the game. Like, he is so mega famous, right?
Everybody can get away with anything, my friend, but you can't get away with everything. Trust me.
Okay.
You say the wrong thing, you're going to get picked up on it. We read about it in the news every day, politically wise especially, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, fair enough. I want to ask you about, so this is a little controversial. I was asking our guest last night about this, but I noticed a lot of fighters, like Amanda Nunes, for instance. You have these strong lesbian couples out there, the face of the UFC, the goat of women's fighting, and she happens to be a lesbian. And I was looking at some of these girls and very outspoken about their preferences, in their personal life. But I scratched my head when I thought this. Not one male in the UFC has openly come out as gay, but there's a plethora of female fighters that are gay. Why do you think that is? Do you think there are guys that are just afraid to just come out, or it just so happens there's more lesbians than any gay guy fighters?
You're throwing a very convoluted question at me here, but all I can say is this, and I want to preface it by this. Actors over the past and the years, from Rock Hudson, you name it, right, had to hide the fact that they were gay. I'm trying to think, is that even politically correct to say anymore? They changed the words you can say every day. So pardon me if I didn't say the right word. Because it would affect their career, because it wasn't accepted as widely. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. If man or woman, especially as a young child, my trainer's son just came out as gay at 14. And I think that that's fantastic for him. All right. Being a straight man and seeing that, I have no problem with that. I think it's wonderful because you don't want to live with internal pain about who you are. You should be able to express who you are. And I think it's a great thing that people are coming out and being open about it. And even greater, that society as a whole, to a very large extent, there's still a few people living in the caveman times with their attitude, in my opinion. Be open, right? Let people live their lives. They're not hurting anybody. They're living their lives. It's beautiful that Amanda and her wife, girlfriend, whatever they are at this point, have, had a baby together. I wish them all the best. Maybe for some of the fighters, as, we've had NFL players recently come out as being openly gay. But if they did come out about it, I think that it'd be fine with me. I'm fine with it. I mean, express who you are, be who you are,
I'm glad that they are, everything is more acceptable now. It is a good thing, but people are still afraid to come out in certain situations. So what would your advice to those people that are afraid to come out? What would it be?
It's a personal choice. And if you're comfortable in your career, you're accepted. If you're starting out, I can understand your hesitancy because you don't know how you're going to be accepted. I would just like to think that if you do come out, that you are accepted and you're accepted fully, So I say be who you are, express who you are, live who you are, right? And don't live with in jail with inside yourself that you can't express who you are. It's probably a difficult choice for some because they're worried about the repercussions. You wouldn't be asking the question if there weren't repercussions.
Sure.
If it was accepted the way I accept it in life, right? Universally, I think everybody, again, should live and be who they are. They're not hurting anybody. They're not breaking the law, right? They're living their life, okay? I'm not a religious person. I don't belong to any organized religions. I'm very spiritual. I believe in an overpowering God. And when I say may God bless you, I mean whoever your God is, I hope they bless you, right? You got to have an open attitude about life. Everybody has a right to live. If you're not breaking the law and you're a good person, man or woman, then be who you are, you know? That's all. I'm very open about that. You know what I don't like? I don't like assholes. I don't like bad people. I don't like criminals. And I don't like people who are conceited. There's two types of egos. There's constructive ego and there's conceited ego. There's a big difference. We all need ego to survive and become better in life. But that's where I look at it as being constructive. And I even do this in my motivational speeches when I talk to companies and branding and people wanting to be better and be better salespeople. This is stuff I do on the side. I'm just not an announcer. I do a lot of other things. I want people to be the best they can be, to motivate themselves, to not only be the best they can be for themselves, but to be the best they can be for the people around them. We live in a decaying society of morality. In the last 6 years, due to certain things, there is a civil unrest in our country that has never been expressed before. It's horrible, right? We need peace, tranquility, and to respect everybody around us. If you're an a-hole, then suffer the consequences. Okay?
Interesting. Yeah, I agree. So, by you saying this, I can't help but think of a guy like Sean Strickland. He's a little out there. He's a little pushy and with his personality. Some people are not liking what he's saying. So what are your thoughts on a guy like him?
I said it earlier. Handle yourself with class, right? I have nothing against Sean. He hasn't said anything bad to me. Somebody says something to me to my face, then they have to deal with it. I have to deal with it, and I'll deal with it the way I see fit, right? Don't talk bad to me. Don't talk down to me. Don't put your hands on me, okay? Sean said Sean handles himself the way he handles himself. I say, Sean, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Again, I'll get back to it. The attitude you express, the image you express, there are potential sponsors watching. You're in this game to fulfill your want to be the best fighter you can be, but you're in this game to make as much money as you can, which there's a ton to make in the UFC. I hear all these complaints about pay or whatever. Show me another organization, barring a couple of fighters that got a big contract, that pay overall more than the UFC pays to their fighters, okay?
It's true.
In the sport of MMA, right? I remember working King of the Cages when Rampage Jackson made $1,500 a fight, right? Then he comes back and supposedly made over $10 million with the UFC, and I love Rampage. He's my brother. But then there was complaints about the money. I mean, come on, it's a lot of money. I mean, the UFC offers a lot of things, but I'm getting off track here. When it comes to Sean, as anybody else, think about what you're doing. Okay, you're on video. It carries itself forward. If I'm a sponsor, if I'm thinking, would I want Sean Strickland to be a representative for Puncher's Chance? Do I want to pay him a bunch of money? Do I want him to represent, It's Time Energy, which is going to be one of the biggest things happening in the world in its category of natural energy drinks when I release this in 40 countries? I'm going to be looking for people to represent my products. And I'm only going to look at the people based on what I'm telling you on this show.
I'm raising my hand. I want to represent your product, Bruce. So just think about it, throwing it out there, okay?
Well noted, my friend. Well noted.
I got to seize the moment. You know what I'm saying? But no, I see what you're saying. My father used to tell me this all the time, and I've made the mistake a million times. I mean, we named our show The MMA-Holes. So, I'm like, we got to be, nutty and crazy. But yeah, my father has told me, hey, rein it back. Pull it back in here. You never know who's watching. So it sounds like you're pretty much on the same page.
Well, I am on the same page because we're role models. What I mean by that is we have a huge audience. There are young kids watching, right? And I'm going to say it again. We live in a decaying society of morality. At my age, I know much more what I'm talking about than any 20-year-old, with all respect, that's watching, because they're 20. They only know what they know and what's happening in the world. I know from experience what it takes to be successful, both as an individual in business ventures as well as a company, okay? So handle yourself with class and think of the big picture. Don't bastardize yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. But be a good person and be respectful to people around you, and be a showman. Say the right things. Be extravagant. Do whatever. But there's limitations in certain things. Trust me, I'd like to sit down with every fighter and spend an hour with them. on how to handle themselves in public interviews and stuff. Not that I'm the know-it-all, because I'm not. Okay, I only know what I know, and the only reason I know and believe what I believe is from my experiences that I've had in life, and I've seen many times what works and what doesn't work, and I've seen almost every instance of a fighter making himself into the greatest career, making the most money possible by the way he or she handles himself, to ones that have actually hurt themselves, and take note.
And what are your thoughts on fighters saying when they get in the cage? We've had plenty of fighters come on the show and tell us, hey, I know I'm in the UFC, but Bruce Buffer yells my name. Like, you are the guy that's basically the rite to passage. You're the guy that's like, oh, I made it. How does it feel being that person?
Thank you. It's a major compliment. I'm honored by it. I'm humbled by it, and that's what I live for. I mean, I'm the first one on a Monday to cash the paycheck at the bank, but getting the respect from the fighters and hearing what you just said makes me want to get out there and get in the octagon Saturday night.
There you go. Now, Bruce, I know you're limited with time here. I have a couple of questions from our audience. You mind if I rattle off some rapid questions to you?
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Andrew P. says, does he have a strong opinions on thickness and topping for pizza, or just order what you like?
What was it? Sickness?
Thickness in pizza. So what kind of pizzas do you like? Do you like pizza?
I'm a hometown Philadelphia boy. I wasn't born there, but it's my hometown. And I like thin, well-cooked crust pizza. I like thin crust pizza. And I like a lot of vegetables on my pizza. And I'm not a big meat eater, but, I have my moments, and just give me a pizza with everything on it. But I'm basically I just love a good vegetarian pizza, like all vegetables with maybe some good chicken on top, and I'm a happy camper.
There you go. AJ wants to know hardest name you've ever pronounced.
Mike Swick, Frank Trigg. You might think I should say Habib Nurmagomedov, right? Or, Jing Liang, whatever. No, the longer, the more syllables, the more difficult, the more meat it is for me as an announcer to really make it shine and grow. Take single syllable names like Mike Swick and Frank Trigg, and with all respect to these fine fighters and all, it's like Frank Trigg, Mike Swick. You got to really, do it right, because you're only dealing with one syllable to make it exciting.
I don't know how some of these play-by-play guys or Anik or any of these guys pronounce these guys' names. It's wild. It's so long. So those names that are incredibly long, when you jot it down on your little paper there, do you do it phonetically? How do you?
Phonetically.
Okay.
I don't rehearse, okay? But I do make sure I got the names down, right? And what I'll do is I'll write them on my card or write them phonetically. So if I do have to look at something long, it'll be there phonetically. Okay. Like Nurmagomedov or whatever I just said the other night. I'm sorry. I had to write it down phonetically, and just, that's the only time.
Every time we do our fight reactions over here, I watch and listen to how you pronounce those names. And I'm like, how does he do that? Like, it just flows off your tongue like nothing. I guess it's from all the years of doing it, right?
Yeah, it's a combination of all the years of doing it. But, John Anik, who's the king of pronunciation when it comes to names, he's such a great commentator. We'll talk about it before the show, but the UFC is a well-oiled machine. We get sound files with the fighters saying their names. So I hear the other fighters say their names, and in turn put it down on the card, and the commentators and I get together before the show if we have questions about anyone, and we go over it.
There you go.
So we're unified.
Guapo 805 says, ask him about the time he did Coca-Cola with Mike Tyson, then hit him with something big. Do you know what that means?
No.
Did you ever do Coca-Cola with Mike Tyson?
No.
Okay.
What is doing Coca-Cola? I mean, you're talking about blow. I don't do blow. It cracks me up. People think I'm so excited. I did a few, rails before I walked out of the octagon. It cracks me up. I mean, did you ever hear about natural energy, taking care of yourself? Jesus God, where they get these ideas, I don't know. I have no idea what that question. Mike's been a friend of mine for years. I mean, we talk to each other on FaceTime like every month or two. So it's. I have no idea what the question means.
Yeah, I think he's referencing cocaine over there. So do you get that a lot?
Please. No, let me tell you something about cocaine, okay? Listen, I grew up in sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I've been a surfer since I was 15, okay? So whatever you want to think, but when it comes to cocaine, it's the worst friggin' drug in the world. I've seen more people ruin their lives, their careers over that horrific drug. I don't care what it gave you that one night or whatever. It is a horrible drug, and if you really want to be smart about it, you shouldn't touch anything in this day that's man-made, because they're putting fentanyl in almost everything. I had a friend of mine who's a very popular comedian here in Venice, California, was all over the news, right? That was their thing. They were partying. She wound up ODing in the hospital for a few days. Her 2 friends died. Okay, this is not an uncommon story. Stay away from anything man-made when it comes to the drugs. It's just, the world's getting crazy. Crazy and crazy. I have nothing against herb, marijuana, whatever. Enjoy the hell out of it. Should have been legalized a long time ago.
Okay, so weed, anything like that route, you're fine with, though, you're saying?
Weed and herb has many, as CBDs do, there's many beneficial properties to it, okay? Everything in moderation. If that's your choice and you want to enjoy it, I have no problem with it. That's why it's being legalized left and right. It should be legalized all around the country and taxed so it brings more income into the states and to the federal government.
I agree.
And slowly but surely it's happening.
So you've never dabbled in drugs at all? Like, never seen...
I'm not a drug person.
Good for you.
I like fine wine. I like a good, puncher's chance bourbon.
Talk to me.
I'm high on life, baby. I don't need to get high on anything else. I know how to get excited.
I love it.
A night with a fine woman, a night with, great friends, laughing, joking, having wine, whatever. I mean, enjoy your life. Make your choices. Just don't make stupid choices.
Do you have a circle of friends from who you've grown up with, like that you hang out with to ground yourself, or do you just hang out with celebrities? Like, what's going on in your personal life?
No, I'm not that kind of person. I think everybody's created equal. I hate the word celebrity. I hate when people call me a celebrity, and the reason I don't like it is because you're putting me on a pedestal above everybody else. I'm equal to everybody around me. I treat everybody equal. Don't try to announce against me. Don't try to fight me. But I'm equal on everybody around me, right? I treat everybody equal, right? I don't consider myself better than anybody else. I just try to be the best person I can be for me and for my sphere of influence. Simple as that. I have a very unselfish theory. If everybody around me is happy, prosperous, and healthy, then it'll all come back to me. This might sound like a bunch of hojo to you, but you know what? This is the way I live my life, and that's just the way I am.
I want to ask you one more question. There's a friend of ours that we made along the way. His name is Big Mo. He's another announcer that is coming up the scene. He does like ex-MMA. He does a lot of bare knuckle stuff. And I'm curious if he's on your radar. Do you pay attention to any of these other guys out there that are other ring announcers?
No offense. Wish them all the best. I mean, why should I?
Ooh.
There's other people that are, announcing. There's other people that are fighting. There's always somebody else doing a job. I just tell everybody when announcers write me and ask me for advice or whatever, I tell them just to, learn their craft, create their own individual style so they're recognized for it. Don't copy me or say, let's get ready to, or it's, a lot of guys are going, it's this time, it's that time. It's like, be original, man. Create your own thing, right? Learn from others, but create your own thing. If anybody could have copied anybody, it would have been me. I could have copied my great legendary brother, Michael Buffer, but I didn't want to be Frank Sinatra Jr. You got to stand on your own 2 feet in life and be an individual. And if you got that it factor, then more power to you. But I say that with all respect that, I'm not out there wondering about other announcers because I'm not threatened by and I don't worry about it.
I love
There's
that.
5,000 guys out there waiting for me to drop dead in the octagon, which is probably the way I'm going to go. It's tough, right? Whatever, go for it. You want to go after my job? Bring it, baby. Come on, bring it.
I love that attitude by you. I love that because you're usually very humble in a lot of things, but when it comes down to what you do and how you've done it in this path that you carved, you're the alpha. You're the top dog. You don't need to pay attention to these guys. So
that's not what I said, though, Chris.
That's what I'm putting in your mouth, though. No,
that's what you're putting in my mouth. That's not what I said.
Okay, all right.
You're taking away the humbleness of my answer. I wish all of them the best. I wish all of them success. Right. I'm not saying, oh, I'm here, you're there. No, that's not it. Do your job. I'm doing my job. Okay. I hope you get there. I hope you become one of the best in the business. I wish everybody the best. Right. I'm just doing what I do. That's all.
Gotcha. Fair enough. How about the slogan, "Let's get wild"? That is a slogan of a friend of ours. Is that weak, or what do you think?
If it works for him, it works for him.
Okay. There we go.
Or her, him or her.
I love it. Tell me more about this puncher's chance. I enjoy scotch and whiskey. I was never a bourbon person, but then I started drinking Maker's Mark. I was like, wait, hold on. I can go down this road. Explain puncher's chance to me because I feel like I got to try this.
Puncher's Chance is one of the fastest selling, top rated bourbons in America today. I've won 6 gold medals, 3 for taste, 3 for design of the bottle. The bottles are designed and the glass is made in France. And then we have my partner Umberto Lucchini, who is one of the finest designers there is. My other partner Brad, they were behind Cabo Wabo, Sammy Hagar's tequila, Skinny Girl, Campari, Wild Turkey, I always side myself with the best. Okay, I turned down a tequila, I turned down a cachaça rum out of Brazil because I wasn't happy with the business acumen of the people and I wasn't happy with the product. I met them. The name Puncher's Chance is what I lived my whole life as, being an underdog, going against the odds and coming out on top, as well as failures. You have to know what it's like to fail before you can know what it's like to succeed in life. And we won 6 gold medals, and we just got voted by the Bourbon Spectator as the top 5 best sipping bourbon in America, and at its price range. It is a big, big hit. And I'm going to build this into a huge brand. I'm building it into a huge brand. It's really growing very strong. And I'm very proud of it because not only is it my baby, but at the same time, it's considered one of the best bourbons out there. What more could you ask for, right? And then we came out with a 12-year-old reserve. My bourbon sells for $30, give or take. Should sell for $60, but we made it less expensive to make it more affordable for everybody. And I came out with a 12-year reserve that sells for $120 plus. I'm coming out with a single barrel version, 105 proof in a few months. I have a barrel version where we have actual barrels that they pull bottles out of and make that are 116 proof of Puncher's Chance. I have 3 different versions out now. And then I'm coming out with a 14-year reserve in the next 6 months. So I'll come out with a new one every year and limited. The 12-year reserve sold out like that.
Wow.
But plenty of single barrel and plenty of Puncher's Chance whiskey will be on the shelves. So, and anybody that can't find a local stores, just go to puncherschancebourbon.com, order it, and have it delivered right to your house.
Also, I want to know about Millions. What is Millions? Because I've seen it pop up on your Instagram a lot. If you could explain that to me.
Millions.co, millions.co
Okay.
is an incredible site out there. And what it does is my partners who are Canadian, they came to me and I agreed to be a co-founder with them because I believe in what they're doing because it's what I do. It basically is allowing fighters like a Sean Strickland, like a Paddy Pimblett, like anybody, we will make a whole merchandise line for you ready to go. Plus you can do the cameo style videos. You can have watch parties like Joe Rogan has, companion style parties. You can charge your fans, like $2.99, $3.99 to watch. The Shevchenko sisters do watch parties on millions.co for UFCs all the time. We have every major athlete. We started with fighters, and it grew so fast that we expanded into every athlete out there, professional and NCAA. We have hundreds of NCAA athletes on millions.co. And when you go there, you can check your favorite athlete. You can buy the merchandise you can't find anywhere else of them. And again, you can contact them for videos, personal questions, ask me anything type stuff. It's teaching the fighters as an example, and I'm all about this. I just don't want them, and that's what I was trying to convey to you earlier on the show about making money as sponsorships, okay? It allows them to brand themselves, which is all important in marketing of themselves as an individual, and it allows themselves to give their fans more access to them in different ways and to earn money. I want them to earn money, not just the paycheck they get on fight night. I want them to get sponsorships. I want them to get, more, and this is a way for them to do it. We do a lot of work for them, and there's no cost to them. We give the lion's share back to the athlete, much more than they would ever make off a Reebok deal or anything else, percentage-wise.
Wow. So that's a pretty good opportunity for these fighters then.
It's a great opportunity. As a matter of fact, like take a Derek Lewis. He gets in the octagon and he goes, my balls are hot. I'll have that T-shirt ready to the world within 24 hours, right? As an example.
That's great. Well, I love what you're doing inside and outside of the cage. Look at you. You're a busy man. How do you how do you juggle all these crazy responsibilities and have a personal life? It's got to be tricky.
At times it is, but at other times, and most of the time it's not, because I'm disciplined and I know how to make these things happen. I've run a number of companies. I had my first company when I was 19 years old. I was an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I was in business. I managed my brother for over 30 years. Trademarked the phrase, let's get ready to rumble, and built, with him, built his career to where it is today and his brand. And I just know how to do this. And when I side myself with good people, what I'm really good at is delegating. Mm-hmm. Secret of success in business is delegation. And, when I side myself with these companies, they have full forces. They got marketing departments, this, that, and the other. I involve myself where I need to involve myself, watch over and manage it correctly to the level that I'm supposed to as a co-founder or partner or owner. It's all about discipline and doing it right. You can take 5 things, try and do them, but you'll do them half-assed if you don't know what you're doing.
Bruce, I'm going to have to pick your brain on a couple of things on other occasions. I think you're a fascinating human being. You know a lot. You got 1.2 million followers on Instagram. Do you ever look at your Instagram and just kind of kick your legs up and be like, yeah, I'm the man? You ever do that?
I'm not that way, Chris. I'm not that way. Again, I'm no offense, but you're kind of putting an image out that's not me. It's great. I got 1.2 million fans. Good. Can't wait till I get 1.3. Great. It's just young people today, and a lot of young and old. This is again one of the pluses and minuses of today's society, in my opinion. Stars, celebrities, whatever. I mean, you used to really have to be talented and prove yourself. Now all you need is what, 500,000 followers or 100,000 followers, and you think, oh my God, I'm this, I'm that, and do the right or whatever. It's like, okay, that's today's society, but there's not much depth when it comes to that. Although it is the game people play and they're making good money at it, and God bless them, make all the money they can. What was it? The OnlyFans and all this. God knows what a lot of these people would be doing if they didn't have that. And you know what? They got it. Make the money. It's really cool that I got 1.2 million fans. I just go, thank you. I really appreciate it. Right. And then I'll make it work for me. I know how to make that work for me in business and marketing and everything else. But I just stay really cool, humble about the whole thing. Just like I explained to you earlier. I'm not a cocky guy. I might seem that way at times because I walk with a bit of a swagger. I do what I do. But in reality, I got time for everybody, man. I treat everybody equal.
Man, you're awesome. You really are. You're something else. You're a special human being. You know that?
Chris, again, my mom thinks so and you think so. Thank you. I'm a happy guy. Yes.
I'm gonna leave it one more question, and I promise it's it. I appreciate you spending a couple extra seconds with us here. I torture myself. Like, no matter what accomplishment I make, I always stress about the next thing. And you made mention that you have 1.2 now. When am I going to get to 1.3? Do you ever torture yourself in the fact of thinking, oh my, I got to get to that next milestone next? Like, you're never content. Do you feel like there's no finish line with what you're doing?
No, there's no finish line, because the finish line for me would be I'm going to retire. Okay, finish line for me means I'm going to call it stops. I'm going to quit. To me, it's just all about a progression thing. Listen, in life, the hardest thing to do is not on the way up. The hardest thing in business is when you get there is to maintain it. Okay? So I look at 1.2 million fans, and I'm more so of the idea that I don't want to see that drop to 1.1 million fans. So I better keep doing consistently what I do to keep it that way. And if it grows, it grows.
There you go. Do you see any doctors for this? A psychiatrist, anything like that? Or are you doing this all on your own?
Doing it all on my own.
Wow.
I got a support factor. I have a fantastic family. My brothers, my partner Kristen, who's been with me for 25 years, working with me and side by side. When I go out to do a UFC and I get back from being Elvis Presley for a weekend, as I call it, I want to get home. I want to see my mom. I want to see my family. I want to get grounded, and I just want to, I jump in a phone booth and I put on the tuxedo. I go out in the octagon. It's still me. It's not super me or anything. It's just, that's what I do. Okay? Take off the tuxedo, get back home, an old-time surfer, casual clothes, whatever. It's just man for all seasons, man for all reasons, buddy.
There you go.
Whatever it takes. Just enjoy your life and be good to the people. I'm going to emphasize it again. Be positive to yourself. Be true to yourself. Otherwise, you won't be able to be true to other people. And don't be false, and don't lie, and don't be an a-hole. Okay? Because if you are, I have no time for you.
You know what we say over here? Don't be an a-hole. Be an MMA hole. That's our slogan.
I figured that was going to be the case. I figured that was going to come out, and that's okay.
That's our cheesy slogan over here. All right. Well, Bruce, hey, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Now's the time to say whatever you'd like to the MMA-Holes. Would you like to promote your Puncher's Chance? The energy drink, which I've got to check out as well. Now's the time to do so.
I appreciate that. Well, my cologne and toiletry line, follow me on Instagram, you'll see everything. My cologne and toiletry line is coming out before the end of the year. My energy drink and all, but Puncher's Chance Bourbon, if you enjoy bourbon, go to puncherschance.bourbon.com and have it delivered, or check your, Bevmo, Total Wine, Albert, it's all over the place. And also, too, one of the big things, too, Chris, is that fans are always asking me for videos for championship introductions or birth of babies or wedding videos, which I love doing. My partner and I love doing all that. And I'm on Cameo. I do a tremendous amount of business on Cameo. But just you can also go to brucebuffer.com. We offer special videos there at a special rate that you can order. And I get a ton of fun doing those. And the thank you notes we get are very, very cool. You know, I love making people happy, man. You got to pay it forward. And I give partial proceeds to animal, military, and children's charities. So happy to film what people want within reason, keep it classy. And that's it. Pay it forward, baby.
There we go. Hey, Bruce, once again, thank you for coming on. Can't wait to chat again. And when's the next time you're going to be in the cage?
The 20th of August in Salt Lake City. It's a heck of a show. And then Paris on September 3rd.
There we go. Hey, safe travels. Thank you again, and have a great day, okay?
All right, you too, Chris. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. And everybody, take care. Big cheers. No fears forever. Be the best you can be, everybody. Not to yourself, but to the people around. Not just to yourself, but to the people around you.
There he is.
Thank you.
Bruce
Appreciate
Buffer. Thank you,
Buffer
Bruce.
out.
Buffer's gonna scream at you, be mean to you. If you don't like it, make it known he's not keen of you. Supper's too cold, not done right, slap the fool. Hot so big, girls drool for the tool. Failed out of school, Buffer's gonna scream at you.
Who's that beautiful little girl?
This is Ellie. She's a year old, and she's a big fan. I just wanted to bring her on because she's a big fan.
Oh, that's so cute. Hi, Ellie.
All right,
Hi,
Ellie.
honey.
Say see you later. She's a little shy.
Bye.
She's starstruck. All right. All right.
I don't know. Starstruck at 1 year old, it would be pretty amazing.